Hello, Facebook. How are you? My name is Lee Jackson, and I am live now. And we're just going to wait for a few people to come on board, which will be fantastic. And I'm going to answer some of your questions about motivating teenagers through this difficult kind of exam period. Most of teenagers are revising right now. They're either in school or probably at home revising. So it'll be fantastic. So we're just waiting for a bit of an audience here. See, and we'll gather some questions, and I'll say some stuff too, which should be good fun. So I'm looking forward to answering all of your questions, as long as we can get it all sorted out. The technology is working, and we're here to answer. Just maybe before your teenagers might get back from school, this is a good opportunity for you to do this. So we'll wait one or two little things here, and some bits and bobs are coming in now, which is great. So I'm going to. Just make sure, yeah, we've got some likes, some people coming on board, which is great. And we'll go on to other Facebook to check this. And we'll see how we go. So there we go. Fantastic. So I guess when I've been working in schools for a long time now. And oh, hi Olivia, nice for you to come along. I've been working in schools for over 20 years in different ways as a youth worker, and for the last 8 years as a kind of motivational speaker. I don't really like the phrase very much because it sounds like I'm going in with all the answers, but actually what I'm doing is taking in some research, taking in some of my experience and helping young people to do the best that they can, really, through what they do, and just to get the best out of their own brains and to understand exactly what they're doing, which is in schools, because there is so much pressure now in schools. It really is very pressured, and I think it's important that we give young people the tools to actually survive the best that they can, which is what I love to do. So I'm just going to just put my Twitter here, look, as we carry on, and I'll answer some of your questions, and we'll see where we go. It's good to build an audience and good to answer these questions. So let me show you the book that I wrote with Colin. So I was one of the people that wrote this. There's several people inside this book, and I think I got the first bit. I think there's 5 authors there, as you can see on the book, which is a great thing. And we just all put our little expertise on this book of what do we know that helps people. So it's very readable, it's very easy to read, and we're going to ask. We're going to ask all these kind of questions through this, and it's a lovely book to get hold of. It's really cheap, actually, to get hold of. It's not an expensive book to buy. You can buy it from your local kind of bookshops and stuff like that. And there's also this, before I answer some of your questions, some of them are coming in. Hello, Alison. Nice to see you. And that is, you can now get this, which is the Parents Guide, a little Parents Guide, a little booklet that I wrote for Collins. And you can get that, I think, in W.H. Smith's and Waterstones. And if you see, it's the magic word is free. So you might see that kind of on the stand in front of all the kind of revision stuff. So that's just some stuff, because I realised that as a teenager, they have their challenges, and as a parent, we don't really sometimes have the skills to be able to help them, because actually it's pressured. When I was at school many years ago, I actually didn't. I can't remember. I did revision, of course, and everything else, but it wasn't as much work as it is now. There is so much more pressure. And I think sometimes it's difficult, if you're a parent, to remember what that feels like and to help them along the way. So, Alison, nice. Thank you for coming along, Alison. That's a great question. Alison's asking, how much revision should a Year 10 child be realistically doing per day? Well, that depends on the school, and it depends on the exams that they're taking, obviously. The best thing to do is to ask the school. So find out the teachers that you really trust and ask them exactly where do we think we should be. I think that's really important, that what is their target for it, because different schools have different kind of targets. I worked in a school that didn't do any homework for 3 years, for instance, and they had different ways of dealing with that. So the best thing to tell you, Alison, is that in the research that I did, the best way to revise, the only way that is actually guaranteed as a successful revision, the most successful revision you can do, is this. I call it the Jedi of revision, and it's actually to start as early as you can. So what's great, Alison, is actually you should, as they were learning in year 10, is get them used to doing their subjects and then learning it and then just recapping that. Maybe putting it on some little cards. I'm sure you've got some little cards and things like that. Get them to do these kind of revision cards. And so as they're actually learning, maybe at the end of a week or maybe at half term, to go through and to make some cards and start just sort of, in effect, it's not how many hours a day should we be doing. It's just get them used to revision being part of their work in school. So they're always learning, but then they're always revising as well. And I think that's a really key point for hopefully to us as parents to remember, that we just to keep them going on a kind of day-to-day level. So what I tend to say with year 10 and 11 is to get to a point where they are extending their school day. So the school day used to be sort of 8:45 till 3 o'clock or whatever. And what I find useful, if they need to have a snack after school and they come home, that's fine, of course. But actually get used to them, just extending the school day for year 10 and 11. In other words, so it might start at 8:30 or something, but then actually get them to work till 5:30 and extend that day and add into that the homework at the end of the day, or maybe just to do some revision. I hope that helps, Alison. Ask me another question or ask me for clarification. Hi, Rebecca. You're on board as well, which is fantastic. She says, my sister is really struggling to keep up the momentum during her revision. What can I do to keep her motivated? That's a really good question. Thanks for asking, Rebecca. Everyone needs support. I think we need a friendly person. So I talk about getting a team on board. So does your sister, who does she have in her revision team? So of course, she might have a teacher, and she might have, yourself and everything else, but who else is in the team? So maybe you need to find your role in that team. Are you maybe the encourager? Are you the one that just helps her and is a kind of a shoulder to cry on, or an encourager? Or are you the person that needs to keep them on track? And that might be a slightly different person or a different technique. But the main thing that I found with revision is to remind people again and again and again, what are they, do they know the big why? So many people talk about this. My good friend David Heiner, he works in schools too, and we talk about that. So my phone was ringing, and what they try and do, my phone just rang then, sorry about that, very unprofessional. What they try and do is understand the big why question. So the reason that people struggle is because it's obviously hard work. But get her again and again, Rebecca, to think about what is the end result of the revision. So you revise because you want to do well, and if you do well, then it means you can get to where you want to be. You can get to the school that you want to be. I'm so sorry. I'll try again. I'll try and switch off my phone next time, which is kind of funny. But there you go. The joys. So that's a good thing to do. Why are we doing? Because we only get motivated when we know the end answer to something. So we only get motivated when we understand. So, why did I bother writing a book? And that is because I wanted to share a message with somebody, because I wanted to help people. I wanted them not to make the same mistakes I've made, to share some of the expertise I've got. So that's an end result. So that's why I did all the hard work in the books that I've written over the years. And so that helped me when it was kind of dark outside, it was winter, and I'm sat just on my computer. And so ask her the why question. I hope that helps, Rebecca. Hello, Olivia. Nice to see you. Olivia Marsden there. Hi. Nice to see you on board. We've got hopefully a few more people coming on board too. One of the things that I talk to parents about, I do some parents' evenings in schools. I talk mainly with the young people, but I do some parents' evenings too. And what I encourage them to do is, thank you, Rebecca. I hope that's good. I'm glad it was helpful. That's great. What I encourage parents and carers to do is to think about becoming a coach, not a manager. So often as parents, and my background, I've got two girls, twins, and they are just doing their A-levels now. So they're just in the last few months of school. They're in year 13. So I wrote some of this book actually while they were in doing their GCSEs, and I had twins doing GCSEs. So my job was motivational speaker in schools and study skills expert. But but then I had my own kids going through it, which is why I wrote those little words to other parents and carers. And I think what's important is that what I understood was that I actually need to become their coach. So the coach is someone who steers someone, but actually becomes an encourager too. I didn't want to be the person who was just grumpy with them, the person that was just trying to manage them and say, yeah, what have you done today? What have you done today? What have you done today? But actually use some very good kind of coaching questions. And there's a few in the free book, some little coaching questions, different ways of speaking to them. So there's some little phrases here, and some of the phrases are great. So how do you, instead of saying, what have you done at school today? You can say, how do you feel today? And just listen and get them to sort of answer those questions. How do you feel that your revision's going? Nice open questions, which encourage kind of conversation rather than you're grilling me. Like if I'm doing a talk either in a school or in a business, I sometimes will do a Q&A, a question and answer session afterwards, and so I'll sit on the stage or stand on the stage and they'll ask me questions. And that's what I'm there to do. I'm there to help. But actually, we don't want to be parent in that way. So you just shouldn't be like, what have you done today? How much work have you done? It's actually kind of an open question. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about your revision plan? Is that working? Because one of the key things is the plan. So I hope there's some tips there. And Olivia's back with a question. Hi, my daughter's about to start her GCSEs, and she's putting herself under a huge amount of stress. I understand. She starts to revise as soon as she wakes up, pretty much until she goes to sleep at night. How can I assure her and get her to ease off the intensity of her revision? That is a great question. I think a revision plan solves a lot of these problems. And what I encourage teenagers to do is get a plan. I think Collins actually have a revision plan that you can download. I'm sure maybe the team at Collins for parents here can add details of a revision plan in this message. They will actually, and what I say in the revision plan is put the fun stuff in first. So put your evenings off. So Friday evening, I'm going to go to the cinema with my friends. Saturday morning, I'm playing football or whatever it is. Put the fun stuff in first, and then actually start to do add the subjects and the topics in. So you shouldn't revise forever because your brain just doesn't work. You're better with half an hour slots or little 10-minute slots and then have a break. Do an hour, have a break, whatever works for her brain, Olivia. But basically, doing it for a long period of time just actually increases our stress. So if she puts the fun stuff into her revision, then hopefully that will help, and she's able to then sort of realise that she needs to timetable fun and work at the same time, so she can do both of those things. I think that's really, really important. And people get stressed out because we all deal with stress in different ways. When I teach about stress and exam stress, it's always good to remind people that actually stress is quite a good thing, because stress helps us to run away from enemies, and if we're getting chased by a tiger, stress is something that helps us to run faster. It's fight or flight. So stress is good, but what isn't very good is stress over a long period of time. So to make sure that she has, there will be moments of stress, but she has some breaks too. A walk around the block, a walk in the park, a cinema trip, a trip to McDonald's, or whatever it happens to be. I think that might help Olivia. That's a fantastic question. So has anyone got any more questions? We're going to end in just a minute or so, I think, but I can hang on for a couple of minutes if anyone's got any more questions. Fantastic. Let me give you a few little real simple tips then that I found really useful. First of all, stationery goes a long way. So my daughter uses whiteboards, and she uses whiteboard pens, and she asked me, and my pens have run out, she's used them. So I bought her a nice set of whiteboard pens yesterday. And little things like that, just stationery. People love new pens and notebooks and little cards, and stationeries are just nice, easy gifts that people usually love if you've got an addiction to stationery like most of us have. That really works really well. And the other thing, I did get a question earlier, I think, on a different forum. Someone was asking me about music. So I'll just kind of answer that question as we're going on. And we can do another one of these sessions if you would find those useful. So just tell Collins for Parents, and we can organise other sessions too. And that is music. So some people say my kids like to revise with the headphones on, or they have their radio on. I've got a radio by my desk here. So should you revise with music? The simple answer to that is, if the music has words, it reduces the effectiveness of your revision. So what I advise people to do is find instrumental music, which has completely no words at all, because that's helpful, like some ambient, like chill out music and stuff. There's loads of kind of Ibiza chill out stuff, but you don't want words, because as soon as you have words, your brain starts thinking about the words and stops you concentrating on what's there. So white noise works well. There's loads of stuff on YouTube and other video sites and Spotify for free, where you can listen to white noise like rain or water or background noise, which cuts out the distraction, so it helps you to focus, because focusing is one of the most important things that you can do. All right, so headphones and music is not a good idea. You put your favorite music on before you revise, but then actually, then switch it off to revise. So get yourself in a good mood, have a dance around and do that. But it's very key and very important not to have the radio on or the TV on or your headphones on unless it's ambient and instrumental music. So there we go. I've run over time a little bit. So I hope you find that useful. Please let us know. Watch the video again, and Collins have some fantastic resources. Don't forget, you can get the Parents Guide to GCSE Exam and Revision Success. That's free, and you can get that from bookshops like Waterstones and W.H. Smith's. And the more detailed one is Collins GCSE Study Skills, which is 5 of us giving our top tips for keeping on going, for stress, for revision techniques and study skills. And I hope that will be very useful. That's available in your local bookshops. My name is Lee Jackson. It's a real pleasure to be here. My website is leejackson.biz if I can be of any more help. But let's just keep going. If you want us to do more, tell Collins, tell HarperCollins, and we'll do more of these. Thank you, and all the best, and I wish you every success in the exams which are coming up. Cheers.